Welcome back to For Finance's Sake, the show where numbers meet business and tax doesn't have to be flipping boring. I'm Rachael Harrison, your host, chartered accountant and MD of a top tier firm here in Warwickshire called Chadwick Accountants. And today we're pulling the curtain back on something every business needs, but no one wants to read the fine print on: business insurance. To help us separate the must-haves from the money wasters, I'm joined by the brilliant Hannah Morgan, Cert CII, an insurance whisperer at Circle Insurance Services. Hannah, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Hannah, before we dive into the alphabet soup of policies, let's start here. Why do so many business owners either underinsure or just ignore the whole insurance thing until disaster strikes?
That's a great question, and it's quite a simple answer really. I guess insurance feels like a later problem until it's not. It can be complex, quite full of the jargon, and often gets pushed to the bottom of the to-do list. That can be behind things like sales, staffing, and day-to-day survival. And I think people assume disasters are rare until unfortunately one hits them. And then suddenly that overlooked policy becomes the most important thing that they didn't really pay attention to.
To be fair, accountancy can be very similar. They push it to the bottom of the list until the company's ass is about to strike them off, and they're like, oh, might need an accountant.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's a necessity, but it's not that exciting.
Very true.
And I guess it's not really about the negligence. It's usually about just misunderstanding, or just being overwhelmed, or just not really knowing exactly what insurance companies need. That's why getting it right, it really does matter. And why we're here to help make it easier for customers. What I'll discuss with you today is an overview of some of the insurance products that are available in the insurance market. Because I understand that purchasing the right insurance products, it can sometimes feel tedious. Buying the cheapest policy may cost you more in the long run, because if you don't get it right, you're not going to have the sufficient cover, so you're not going to be covered.
So yeah, you're basically just gambling your money away on the roulette machine.
Yeah, you're essentially paying out for a policy. Yes, it's cheap, but if a claim comes in and you're not covered, it's a waste of money. So spend that little bit more and get it right, that if a claim does come in, you're going to be covered.
That makes sense. So the big hitters, what business insurance should you actually have? Professional indemnity insurance, this one's close to my heart. PI, it's like your legal parachute, isn't it? If you give advice that leads to a client losing money and they come at you with the pitchforks, like, this keeps your wallet intact, does it not?
Yeah, you're correct. Professional indemnity insurance is required if any company offering advice or design or specification for a fee has a liability for the advice or design that's been provided that causes the third party essentially to have a financial loss.
Yeah, so that just is a nice blanket for you. If they lose money, your insurance will cover you.
Yeah, if it's the advice or design that you've provided that's negligent, then your professional indemnity policy will help.
Brilliant. I had a client once who filed their own accounts on company's house. Actually, to be fair, we had a few of them. But this guy was using tips from a YouTube finance guru. Let's just say they now understand the real value of advice and proper insurance.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So public liability insurance sounds fancy, but basically it's just, oops, someone slipped on my floor cover, right?
Pretty much. So if someone gets injured or their property gets damaged because whether, let's say, that's at your office, on site, or it can even be things like trade events, trade shows, it covers the fallout. It's especially crucial for contractors, client-facing businesses, or anywhere with a foot traffic, such as hotels, pubs, or shops.
Even my most digital, paperless, cloud-based clients need this. You'd be amazed how many people sue after just tripping over a laptop bag.
Yes, we see lots of those.
Do you? So, employers' liability insurance. This one's not optional, right?
It's not, no. So this one's a legal requirement in the UK. So if you employ even one person, so whether that's full-time, part-time, or even volunteers.
Or even unpaid volunteers.
Even unpaid volunteers. Anybody that you're employing, If they get injured or ill because of the work, you need to have employer's liability legally.
I mean, I've had sole traders who hire a nephew just for a few hours and think it doesn't count, but it does. It's a legal requirement here in the UK.
It is, yes.
So let's talk about the stuff. Property and content insurance, offices, stock, printers from 2009.
A lot of people still have them. You'd be surprised. Yeah, so your property and contents insurance. This one's probably more familiar to listeners.
Because they do it at home.
Exactly. Yeah. So it covers the physical assets, so whether that's your buildings, your laptops, the stock. It even goes down to signage, so whether that's signage against your fire, theft, flood, etc. And if you're running a home-based business, do not assume that your home insurance has you covered. It usually doesn't. We have seen this happen so many times that if you work from home, you assume that the contents are included under your home insurance, but they're not 9 times out of 10, so definitely check with your providers.
And with so many people running home-based businesses, that is really, really important.
It is, yes.
Well, what I have seen is people undervaluing the value of their stock and laptops, and say the warehouse has a fire and you said the stock was £50,000, but it's actually worth £100,000. The insurer can go, okay, well, you only insured half of it. We're only going to pay you for half of it.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, my advice would be that if you are insuring your contents, ensure you are getting the valuations done correctly. And you're quite right in saying that if your sum insured is 50,000 and you've got £150,000 worth of stock, the insurers are only going to pay you 50,000. So just double check exactly what contents you have and potential values that you need them accurately insured for.
Yeah, if you're a fast-growing business, it might be worth checking halfway through.
100%, yeah. And just keep your insurer up to date.
Yeah.
That's all insurers really want, is keep them up to date, ensure the valuations are correct.
No surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk business interruption insurance. I think this one is underrated. It's not just your office burns down, it's that you can't earn money while it's being rebuilt cover.
That's exactly it. So it is essential business interruption insurance. So this is a type of coverage that helps a business recover financially after a disruption in operations. So this is usually due to what we call a covered event. So it's typically things like physical damage from events like fires, storms, or other disasters. But it's crucial that this section of your policy is on the correct basis. Bluntly, this is the difference between your business failing or surviving following a total loss. So if your business has completely gone up in smoke and you physically cannot trade, this is the element of the policy that responds to your business interruption.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this cover would have been the difference between a lot of businesses surviving or failing during COVID, right?
Yeah, so as many people know, insurers during the COVID time they've either tightened their policy wordings due to it or they haven't, but that is a very, very good example of that. There was a lot of businesses that were insured with insurance companies that did have clauses in that meant that they wouldn't get a business interruption payout from that.
Did they call it act of God?
Well, I'm not sure exactly the words that they used on that.
I've heard that plenty of times. We don't cover acts of God or terrorism.
Well, it was very difficult because, and I can talk about this all day long, but from the insurer's point of view, obviously nobody expected sort of disaster, so to speak. But there were some insurance policies that did pay out the business interruption, but there were an awful lot of policies that didn't pay out the business interruption. So if we think of hospitality and what a hit they took in the pandemic and the pubs going under and restaurants going under, then we need to think of it, taking it away from COVID, if we think of it, if it was a fire, for instance, and they didn't have that business interruption under their policy, then yeah, it would have exactly the same significant damage.
So we think of business interruption insurance as it's like Netflix buffering during that season finale. You've paid for the show, as in you paid for your building and your staff and all the rest of it, but you're just not getting the goods.
That's a brilliant comparison. Essentially, yeah. I mean, and I guess it's very similar to your analogy. However, it can be really difficult to get it right with the calculations on the financials. And to put it bluntly, some insurance brokers still don't get it correct.
To go with a trusted provider, such as cyber insurance.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk cyber insurance, very hot topic. That cover, it used to feel a little bit OTT, but now it really feels like an essential. One dodgy link in an email and you're looking at ransomware, GDPR fines, and a bit of a PR nightmare. I mean, look at what happened at JLR.
Yeah, so cyber is a very hot topic, and it has been for the past few years now. It's only really the bigger organisations that are hitting the news, but we are seeing an awful lot of SME organisations being targeted or untargeted. It's the world that we're living in now, unfortunately. So the cyber insurance is essentially a safety net for the business. So whether that's you get hacked or whether you lose data or someone steals data, you get held to ransom. There's so much to a cyber incident. Unfortunately, this day and age, you're 4 times more likely to have a cyber incident than what you are a fire in your property.
You know, it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. As accountants, we obviously see lots of SMEs books, and we see these odd teas and think, what's that? And you have to talk to the client, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we got an email, we thought it was our supplier, and we paid someone it wasn't our supplier, it's just lost money.
Yeah, we're seeing that's a really, really common one that we're seeing. Biggest sort of what we're seeing in the market currently is, well, it's not currently, it's been ongoing, is employee negligence, unfortunately. Whether that's clicking a link or opening an attachment. I mean, these cyber criminals, they're so sophisticated. We're seeing attachments now where it looks like a Teams calendar invite.
Wow.
And you're opening the Teams calendar and it's then putting on the ransomware or infecting it with malware on your system or server. It's an awful lot. They're so sophisticated.
And advancing so quickly as well.
It really is. And if you're implementing training with your staff, that's brilliant. You'd be surprised how many organisations still don't implement cyber training.
Oh, I think we could do a whole episode on cyber insurance. There's so much I could tell you about some of the failed attacks we've had here. And we like to do something really good with our IT company. We do a pretend attack.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just to see if they've all read the policy. And if you fail, you're going to have to do a whole training course. But it'll come out an email like, click here to see your bonus for the year or something.
Yeah, and it's good. Those type of things are really good. But I completely agree. I can talk about cyber all day long. I find it so fascinating. So I think we should definitely do another session on cyber.
And we'll talk about how to protect yourself, good processes to put in place, and these practice runs that you can do with your staff.
Yeah, and what an insurance policy can do to protect you.
Exactly. Maybe we'll get the IT guy on as well.
Yes.
That's not a bad shout. So let's talk about management liability insurance. I find this one really interesting because a lot of people don't seem to have it, but I feel it's quite important. It's basically, don't sue me, I'm just the director coverage.
You've got it in a nutshell. So management liability is also known as directors and officers insurance. And it's there to protect you, the individual that's running the day-to-day management of your company.
It's not to protect the company, it's to protect the individual.
It is. There is an element of cover for your company, but the main purpose of this policy is to protect you as an individual. Assets. Yeah, and also the management of your organisation. So this is there to protect you if an allegation comes in against you. And that word is key. Allegation. You still have to defend it, regardless of whether it's true or not. And this is the policy that provides you access to your legal experts, your panel of solicitors, and it practically holds your hand from start to finish.
So it could take a little bit of the stress away from a situation like that, which is going to be stressful anyways.
Massive. So I've had clients in the past And I think when we talk about management liability, we always talk about potentially how much a court case will cost you if somebody alleges something against you.
I mean, it's stressful of dealing with it, but when you sat there thinking, oh my God, my solicitor's charging me X amount of £100 an hour as well on top of this, and then the court fees, and you have to hire a barrister, it can get really pricey really quickly.
It can, but what we need to be thinking about as well is, and you've just hit the nail on the head there, is the emotional stress it causes individuals. So this policy takes everything away from that. In addition to that, we really recommend that if companies have employees that work for them, they take out employment practice liability cover. It is usually purchased within a management liability policy, but what it does is it protects the business from their employees. So if you were to let somebody go and they thought it was, say, unfair dismissal...
Tribunal cover, effectively.
It is, yeah. So it protects you from your employees. So that is essential, whether you have one employee, whether you have 30 employees, 300, you need to be definitely looking at that cover.
And you hear so many SMEs say, oh, I know Sharon really well, she'd never do that to me. But believe me, you have seen the closest of friendships turn sour when it comes to money.
We have, yeah, and I think another thing to mention on that product is a lot of insurers will provide what we call director v director cover. So if you've got a partnership within your organisation, if there was a potential fallout, depending on your provider, but there is potential cover for that partner v partner. So it is crucial cover.
Definitely. So let's talk about key person insurance. Which, actually, I see many companies purchase this when I think they haven't got management liability, which I feel is more important. But key person insurance, it's the ultimate what if they get hit by a bus policy, is it not?
Yeah, and again, I like how you just compared it there. It is exactly how you said. So it's essentially that if your business and it relies heavily, say, on one or two individuals, and if they were to fall poorly long term or unfortunately get hit by a bus and pass away, and it would have an impact on your business, it covers you for that, so it protects you against that.
So if you've got that genius developer that you know would be really hard to replace, this is the kind of cover you want to take out. It doesn't cover you if they just get another job, does it?
No, exactly. What this cover helps you with is sort of things like your loss of profits, the recruitment, and all of that side of things to help you continue to trade without that key individual.
But only if they are hit by a bus, effectively they pass away, or they're critically ill.
Yeah.
Not if they decide to go work for your competitor.
Yeah, that's exactly yeah, it won't cover that.
You just think that's not really likely compared to things like management liability.
Yeah, exactly.
Madness.
It is crazy. But I think, again, it's just not understanding the ins and outs, what the cover actually is there for.
Yeah.
I've had a few clients, I would like to say not my own clients, the clients I've spoken to in the past, where they've had incidences, whether that be with employees or whether that be with contract disputes or anything like that, and they've actually funded it themselves because management liability hasn't been explained in depth to them. And that's what we do differently at Circle Insurance. We go through what you are covered for and how we can help.
Brilliant. Right, well, let me talk about fee protection insurance now. As an accountant, this isn't just a side dish. It is core. And if you're a business owner who's ever had a brown envelope land on your doormat from HMRC, you want to listen closely. Here's the deal. If you get selected for tax investigation, random or otherwise, you might think, oh, no problem, my accountant will handle it. And sure, we will. But that time costs money, and sometimes a lot. Fee protection insurance is what allows us to represent you fully, fiercely, and without you worrying about the bill. It doesn't cover your tax liability if HMRC does deem that you've done something dodgy, but it does cover the professional fees for us digging through your books, defending your case, and sorting the mess out, which we love doing. I love winning against HMRC. It's one of my favourite things.
Does not surprise me.
But it's peace of mind for you and for me. And quite frankly, in today's climate, it's becoming a no-brainer. So, Hannah, Before we finish off, what other products do Circle Insurance offer that people should be aware of?
We offer a wide range of insurance products, and it's varied really across sectors, which we tailor to individual needs. We also offer a specialist trade credit service, and their team is based in our Coventry head office, and it's something that a lot of general insurance brokers don't really get involved in. Our support to our clients, it doesn't really stop at just providing insurance solutions and balance sheet protections. We also provide things like health and safety, risk management advice. And when you think of risk management, that goes hand in hand with insurance.
That makes sense because better risk management, less of a risk for the insurer.
That's exactly it. So it's important for clients to identify and understand their key risks so then they can implement a process to mitigate the risks, which then mitigate the risk for the insurer, which puts a positive light and potentially reduces premiums and provides improved cover.
Just like a cascade effect of good things.
It is, yes, it is. And in addition to that, for those really hard, complex placed risks, we do see them, but we are very fortunate at Circle Insurance because we've got direct access to Lloyd's of London via our London office.
Well, that sounds very posh. So, well, Hannah, thank you for coming in and making insurance, dare I say, almost sexy. For those of you listening, don't treat insurance like a box-tick exercise. It's not an audit. It's a strategic decision that could save your business's backside. And if you're a client of mine, you already know we offer free protection insurance and we recommend it for a damn good reason. So until next time, the finances say, check the numbers.